Hello, everyone, and welcome to In the Loop. My name is Debbie Cavanis. I am the Director of Alumni Relations here at SUNY ESF. In this episode of In the Loop, we are highlighting some of our female alumni that are working in STEM fields, and this is in celebration of Women's History Month. So before we get started, I just want to go through a few housekeeping issues. If you would like to ask a question, we'll be holding those until the end, but you can always ask the question in the chat as long as you are logged into your YouTube account. So if you are watching on YouTube and you have a YouTube account, please feel free to put your questions there and we'll get to them at the end. If you don't have a YouTube account or you don't want to show your username, you can always email us at alumni@esf.edu, and then we'll post those internally, and then I can ask our guests those questions. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Let me bring on all of our alumni. So welcome, everybody. I'm very glad that you're all here with us today. I'm going to have you just go around, kind of introduce yourselves. Let us know what your major was when you were here, what your current job is, and anything you'd like us to know about yourself. So I'm going to start with the first one on my screen to my right. So Billy, if you just want to kind of introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for having me here tonight and joining. My name is Billy Holacek. I graduated from ESF in 2020, and I majored in sustainable energy management. And during my time at ESF, I got a few minors in management, economics, and applied statistics. So I really took advantage of that. I currently am an energy and environmental policy researcher at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. I've been here for about 5 years. It'll be 5 years in June. And a lot of my work focuses on helping the federal government reach different energy goals, whether it's energy reduction or things like grid resilience.
Great. I'm glad that you're here because SEM is kind of a newer major for some of our older alumni. And I know we have quite a few of our current students that are watching tonight. So I'm sure they'll be interested to hear from you on where they can go with that degree. So thank you for joining us. Valerie, if you'd like to go next.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Debbie. My name is Valerie Wheel. I was an ERE major. I graduated in 2016. That's environmental resources engineering. After I graduated, I took a couple different weird turns, I guess you would say. I thought when I graduated, I would go really into the water resources way, but now I'm an engineer who does work with drones and drone technology, and that has been my focus. So I have a little bit of a different perspective. I'm more on the tech and robotics side now. So just if you feel like veering off after ESF, you can do it. And I'm here to answer any questions regarding that as well.
Great. Well, thank you. And that's nice to know that it gives you a good enough base that you can go and explore other options with your degree as well. So Emily, who's EB, who used to be EFB, so environmental biology now. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Emily Booth. I majored in forest health at CSF. I graduated in May of 2021, and I'm currently a forestry technician for the city of Rochester. So essentially, I manage a third of the city's trees, responding through one calls, assigning different tree species and cultivars to be planted on our city streets. And I kind of began going into a route of in the private sector, working at a Davy Resource Group doing tree inventories, and I just happened to find myself in urban forestry, and I'm really enjoying it.
Well, great. And shout out to Davy because they're one of our employer partners. They do a lot of hiring of our alumni, so we love to thank them. And Allie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually a transfer student to ESF. I graduated with an environmental science degree with a specialization in water science in 2019, but I came from Onondaga Community College with an applied associates in environmental technology. My career has spanned nonprofit, government, consulting, private sector roles. I've been in regulatory enforcement and advising to New York State, education and outreach, of course, which is so incredibly valuable, watershed, stormwater management, various field work. But currently I'm working as an environmental project manager at LG Sonic, It's an environmental technology company that's based out of the Netherlands, and I felt very privileged to go there this past November to meet everybody at our headquarters. We specialize in managing harmful algae blooms across different industries, including power plants, municipal drinking water systems, wastewater, recreational lakes. I'm currently responsible for managing all of the U.S. sites, which is over 70 different projects. So my job is to analyze the water quality data to assess whether the algae are adapting to our treatment technologies and adjusting ultrasound technology or frequencies accordingly, developing technical reports, disseminating information, and maintaining all of those relationships.
Great. And I know people from here are very familiar with harmful algal blooms because of Skinny Atlas Lake. There's always an issue with that. So thank you for doing the work that you do. And it's great that you're a transfer student, because we have a lot of transfer students that are coming up through the community colleges and then finishing their degree at ESF. So great. All right, I'm going to start with Emily. I'm going to ask Emily to talk a little bit about what you love about your job.
So what I love about my job is the ability to interact with my community and answer any questions they have about trees. A lot of people, they don't really know what urban forestry is, or that a city even has an urban forestry program. So telling people about their tree in front of their yard, its benefits, its species, I love it. Most recently, I was monitoring some contractor work in the right of way, and one of the questions he asked me is, what is your favorite tree? And I used it as an opportunity to tell him about palmate leaf veination and the scent Getsera trees give off when they are losing their leaves in the fall. I also really enjoy signing new trees we planted. The city of Rochester has 64,000 trees currently, and over the course of these next 2-3 years, we're hoping to get up to 70,000 trees. So we have a list of about 100 species and cultivars to choose from. So I'm excited to see the trees that I've chosen to be planted grow and mature into a healthy forest canopy.
That's great. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go over to Allie next. Allie, what do you like most about your job?
I think it's been incredible to work with such a diverse client base across so many different industries in the water sector. It's given me a pretty complex and diverse understanding of water management from different perspectives, which I feel like has made me a really well-rounded professional in terms of water quality, whether it's municipal, industrial, and other private firms. So I also love that the role takes me nationally and internationally. Some people can be exhausted by travel, but fortunately the travel that I have done most recently has been, I wouldn't say far and few between, but certainly more than manageable. I've been able to represent Algae Sonic at different national and international conferences, to engage with various global experts on water resource management, which has been absolutely incredible. So traveling to new countries to discuss water science is pretty exciting and rewarding. I've learned a lot about how different regions manage water quality challenges broadly, much further beyond harmful algae blooms, of course, which informs me of how we should be looking at water resource crises, especially in the face of climate change, and how our cultures can impact our decisions in water quality management.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you very much. So Billy, we're going to go to you next. I know you probably have lots that you love about your job, but
there is a lot. Yeah. So like I mentioned, I am an energy and environmental policy researcher. And I sit more on the energy side of things, but this role gives me the opportunity to look into so many different areas of research. So when I first started, I was on our energy efficient product procurement team. That team really tries to do analysis and train federal entities on how to purchase like the most efficient markets on the technology. And it's really important, but it wasn't something that was really super exciting to me. And because of how the lab works, essentially, if you have capacity to take on another project, you're able to. So I was able to start working in this demand response and time variable pricing group where we look at how federal agencies can increase their load flexibility to help create a more resilient grid. And that works really exciting to me. It actually led me to, and I guess I should have mentioned this in my introduction, into getting a master's degree. So I'm in the final semester of a master's program. I'm working part-time right now, and I'm in my program full-time at University of Delaware, where I'm getting a master's in energy and environmental policy, focusing on energy resilience in the face of disasters, and the demand response work and other work I've done at the lab inspired that. And the lab is also really supportive of continuing your education. So it's been great to be able to continue my work at the lab while also exploring a new path that I'm really excited to go down.
Well, great. Congratulations on getting your master's too.
Yeah, thanks.
So Valerie, I'm going to go to you. What do you like about your job?
Right, sure. So, I mean, the main thing about being in robotics that's really great is that you're really always going to be on the forefront of like cutting edge technology. So we kind of get to be the leaders in the field. So it's not just like the glass ceiling, but it's just the forefront of all technology. And it's really cool to be a part of that. As far as the job today goes, really nice for me because I get to work remote, but I also get to do a lot of travel as well. I've been to some pretty awesome places because of this job. And I've just learned so much every single day. It's very fast paced. But for me, outside of work, I also love robotics. So it just feels like I'm getting to do what I love all day, every day. So I work in robotics during the day, and then after work, I'm working on stuff for my YouTube channel or building little robots for myself. And so it's just what I love to do. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty close to almost being like somebody who gets to test out toys all day. But these aren't toys, they're for other bigger things, and you get to be a part of something much bigger than yourself. So it's a pretty cool occupation.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. And it's nice that you get to do what you love to do all day. So actually, Valerie, I'm going to stay with you. And so what are some misconceptions that people might have about your area of STEM, and especially when they hear the word drone?
Right. So a lot of misconceptions. I know I just talked about drones being like toys, but again, that's not what we do. And also people will think drone and they'll think military, or they'll think, Big Brother spying on us. And that's also not what we're trying to do. So I've had a couple different drone roles. I've used drones for detecting methane gas on oil and gas pipelines. So if there's a leak, we're the first ones to detect it faster than sniffers, faster than anything they did in the past. And indirectly, this is helping the environment. If we can catch these methane leaks faster, it's less going into the atmosphere. There's other things that we do that are more environmentally related as well. I've been parts of teams where we've done drones for inspection of solar panels and wind turbines and things like that as well. So it's just a really widespread industry. Currently, what I'm doing is not environmentally related. What I'm doing is I work for Nightingale Security. We are a drone company that does security for all sorts of things, big manufacturing. We work for NYPD and other police departments. So if somebody calls 911, the drone takes off autonomously and flies to the site, and you just get another second set of eyes on the situation that's totally hands off. And that can be used in court later on or for whatever they need. So there's just unlimited things that can be done with these drones. Like, your mind is the limit. So I think, it's good to not be too close-minded about this stuff and understand there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah. Technology is our friend.
Can be.
Yes. Emily, we're going to go over to you. Kind of what are some misconceptions that people might have about your field?
So I mentioned this earlier, but a lot of people, they hear forestry or arborist, and they think I'm a lumberjack in the woods cutting down trees. They think I'm there to just straight up remove their tree. So explaining that, no, that's not what I do, and informing them about the benefits of trees and like why I am there. Sorry,
No.
a little noise back. Yeah, that's the main misconception, because people hear forestry and they just think somebody in the woods, not a person going out inspecting city trees and maintaining them for safety. Because I have a job because city trees and trees in general are dangerous.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And I don't know if a lot of people realize that those trees planted along the side, like they're owned by the city. The city goes and maintains them and keeps an eye on them. And when you do need to cut them down, do you replace them?
Generally, we do.
Yeah.
The city of Rochester, so I should have mentioned this earlier, but I recently started with Rochester. I began working with the city in July of this year, of 2024. Prior to that, I was an inventory arborist for Davie Resource Group, and I traveled around. I did tree inventories in Buffalo, Syracuse, Albany, all throughout New York State, and also in out of state, generally during the winter. So Tucson, Arizona, Napa, California. And a lot of cities are still working on getting a forestry program together. Um, Me inventorying those trees was a way for them to get a handle on what they have and what maintenance their trees require. And from that information, they develop a management plan and create pruning cycles and get all that in the works. The city of Rochester, they have an established, or we have an established 6-year pruning cycle. So at the end of every year, we go out, we inventory a portion of our trees. And the following year, currently, we have contractors go out and we have to prune those trees for deadwood, plants from houses, and a lot of residents will come out. They're not really sure what's going on. And so I'm there to mediate and tell them, hey, it's a city tree. We're doing this to keep um, your house safe in the storm. And because the city of Rochester is so proactive in their tree upkeep and maintenance during storms, we also do storm calls. We're on call on certain weekends. We really don't have too many calls. So proactive urban forestry is really important.
I was going to say, yeah, that's nice to be ahead of it. So you're heading off any issues that might be coming up in bad weather.
I've seen a lot of scary trees in other cities, and I do not see as many here in Rochester.
Well, good. Keep on top of that. All right, thank you. I'm going to go to Billy next. So
Yeah.
Billy, yeah, go ahead.
So I guess what I'd start with is like the first misconception I often hear when I say I work for a lab is people are like, oh, you work for a lab, but you're remote. How are you doing that? And I'm not in a lab every day. I'm actually never in a lab. A lot of the work that I do is more social science, more analytical. And I think there's often this misconception that like soft sciences, as I've heard it referred to before, and social sciences don't really matter as much as these more technical positions. But really, there's a lot of impact behind the work that me and my colleagues do in taking that like technical knowledge and applying it and trying to communicate with as many people as possible how different technology can be used, how they can change their behavior to create more energy resilience, use less energy, things like that. So really, I think my thing here is that social science matters and that there's a lot of impact that you can have sitting in a role like that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, and Ellie, we're going to go to you last. And Ellie. So what are some of the things that people may have misconceptions about what you do?
Yeah, so I've definitely heard a few for water science or watershed management. I think one of the biggest ones is that water science is purely scientific. In reality, from what I've learned at my time at ESF and working in the field, is that water quality issues are very interdisciplinary. You kind of need some knowledge, and you don't need it, but it helps to have knowledge in biology and chemistry, meteorology, geology, political science even, and sometimes like psychology to fully understand and address water quality challenges. And like I feel like the second one that is a misconception kind of goes into this is that the biggest challenge is the science itself. I mean, considering it could be interdisciplinary, you would maybe assume learning all of these sciences is the biggest challenge, but it's really not, because I think one of the hardest parts of watershed management or water quality management isn't really all those sciences even. It's stakeholder management. Lakes and water bodies are shared resources that we all rely on in different ways, meaning different groups of people with different levels of involvement all have different ideas about what is right for them. So there's a lot of conflicts that can arise due to varying political interests, different types of water use, budgeting constraints, and public perception. So while being scientifically knowledgeable is incredibly, beneficial and crucial, learning how to mediate discussions, like remaining neutral and navigating differentiating, opinions is just as important. Because if you can't get along or negotiate with those stakeholders, you're not really getting anywhere, right? And I've seen many lakes and watershed organizations that don't get anywhere in terms of management for decades because they just can't simply agree on what's going on. So you kind of, or what needs to be done. So you simply need to learn how to almost speak like a politician, to play that neutral role and to be able to meet the baseline bare minimum needs of each of those stakeholder groups to really make significant progress. And I think the last thing is also that the watershed science is stagnant. The science is the science, water is water, which is quite the contrary. There's so much research that comes out on a yearly basis and so many different opinions and success stories that come out internationally that can really inform us on how to best take care of our water resources.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm going to stay with you because I know you said you're dealing with a lot of different stakeholders and a lot of different groups. As a woman in a STEM role, leading those discussions, how does that work for you?
Yeah. So I mean, it's certainly varied, and I hope none of this comes off as harsh, but I think it's also important to be realistic. I think one of the biggest challenges I have faced as a woman in STEM in this field, especially, internationally, nationally, and these big conferences and these big rooms of important people with high salaries working for the state and federal government, is not being taken seriously when I am near the expert in the room. I've had many people who have refused to make eye contact with me in the field or in public and will look at the man next to me instead, disregard my recommendations, belittle my accomplishments, take credit for my work, pay me less than the man sitting next to me for the same job. All of that stuff does happen, unfortunately. And in order to overcome those things and maintain my positivity and professionalism, I've had to learn how to advocate for myself, of course, make sure I'm giving credit to myself in those meetings before somebody else takes it from you. Finding male allies, I think, is also incredibly important, and figuring out who are your friends in that room to make sure that they're speaking up for you when necessary. And then also seeking mentorship, having strong mentors. There are many of them at ESF I still speak to frequently. And they've helped me navigate those workplace challenges and give me the confidence that I didn't have at the time. And so now I try to mentor others when I have the opportunity to pass that support forward, because we should be supporting each other. As a woman in STEM, I've heard from one of those mentors at ESF that you have to work 10 times harder than everybody else. And she was right. But recognizing that reality and strategically positioning yourself is really important. And that's how you protect yourself, and you can make a difference for yourself and succeed, because we truly do deserve to take up space in the STEM fields. And it can be difficult to give into imposter syndrome, but we do deserve to take up that space. And sometimes we do know better, and we need to, remind ourselves of that and surround ourselves with people who believe in us and help us believe in us.
A lot of great advice there.
Thanks.
You can be my mentor. I'd like to have you as my mentor.
I would love to.
All right, I'm going to go to Valerie, and I'm going to ask you that same question. As a woman in STEM working in this field, what have you encountered?
Tough to follow up on Allie. I almost have no notes. Yeah, I mean, I'm always typically the only girl in the room. So you have to get used to it, and you'll get used to it with time, and you'll learn how to navigate it. My advice is to not freak out and just realize that you belong there as well. Just take it day by day and do the job and let your work speak for itself, and people will notice, and you will earn some respect in that way. But that's the main advice I would give.
Great advice again. So I feel sorry for the person that's going to be last in this session, which is going to be Emily, because I'm going to go over to Billy next. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Well, because it's tough. And they've already given some really good advice, but I mean, being a woman in STEM, sometimes you are the only woman in the room and you are the expert.
Yeah, definitely. And I also just want to take a note that I feel like I've had very supportive teams. So I do feel like they've helped me overcome a lot of my challenges that I faced. But I want to take a second to note that I'm also a white woman in STEM, and that gives me a lot of privilege that a lot of women of color in this area don't have, just in seeing themselves in the people doing the work that they want to do in the future. So I think it's really important that we're all here and we're all advocating for women in STEM, women of color in STEM, so we can see people that look like us in the room that we're in. And I guess I'll give like a little funny story of my first oh no moment of being one of like the only woman in an office. So while I was at ESF, I had an internship at the New York Power Authority, and I was in a satellite office, so it was pretty small. But something that really stuck with me and made me feel alone in a very weird way was that every time I would go to the bathroom, it was just a single bathroom for our floor, the toilet seat would be up, and I had this like oh no moment of like, oh my God, am I only ever going to have men in my field? Like, is it always going to just be me surrounded by all of these men? And I kind of started getting a little fearful at that point. But there was another woman in the office that took me under her wing, and she made me feel really welcome and appreciated. And I mean, our work didn't even overlap at that point, but I think she saw kind of the fear that I was having in entering that space that was mostly men. So, like we've heard before, find your people in your field. It can be hard to be a woman in spaces that have traditionally been filled with men. But you can do it. It's possible. In my current position, we actually have mentorship programs that the lab offers. So I took advantage of this, and I specifically requested a woman mentor just to help me navigate some of the more nuanced challenges, like feeling undervalued compared to male coworkers and advocating for promotions that I knew I deserved and wanted to see in a more timely manner. So yeah, find mentors, find your people, and it'll really help.
Yeah, that's nice that your organization has a mentorship program already in place.
Yeah, it's been great. They started it maybe 2 years back, so it wasn't there when I first got there, but I think they recognized it as something that early career employees needed.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to go over to Emily.
Yeah, that is hard to follow up. I mean, self-advocacy, imposter syndrome. I mean, currently as a new employee working for the city of Rochester, I definitely am dealing with imposter syndrome. I am an ISA certified arborist. I am tree risk, have my tree risk qualification. I have spent the past, X amount of years since graduating, inspecting trees, identifying trees. I mean, at Davie, I would identify like between 200 to 300 trees a day and assess them for risk. And um, it is really hard interacting with people who don't take your knowledge base seriously, and moving and growing from there and really moving on from it. And like Allie said at the very beginning, like, as a woman, you have to work 10 times harder than most men in your given field. When I first started out, I was in a Davie residential branch, and I was the only woman at that specific office. And the things you hear men say when they don't think you're listening, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
That's just, yeah, self-advocacy and having a mentor. I've stayed in contact with a few ESF professors, and I did a research project while I was at ESF in the Dylan Perry lab with the Hypena moths, and I've stayed in contact with his past um, PhD student, and it is really good having a mentor to talk to about these things with and learn and grow from them, because everyone's going to deal with it, especially in a male-dominated field like arboriculture.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think self-confidence and being confident in the education that you've gotten and that you're prepared for this job and you can do it. So
Yep.
that's going to lead me to my other question. Now that you're in the field, you're working out there, what classes did you take that you felt were most helpful? And which ones did you wish you took?
So I took a lot of great classes being a forest health major. I took dendrology, entomology, forest shade and tree pathology, mycology. All of these classes served as an amazing framework for me to build my career off of. Um, I really filled my schedule with every class that had to do with trees and the woods, and it really has paid off. I do wish I had taken urban forestry at the time, since that's now what I do. But you learn as you go.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, we're going to go over to Allie now. Allie, how about you? What was most helpful classes you took, and maybe what did you wish you took that you should have made a little bit of time for?
Yeah, I am going to quickly say I took mycology, which was an incredible course. Wasn't necessarily required for a watershed degree, but that was where I placed my capstone study, and that was incredible. But in terms of courses that have been the most helpful for where I'm working now, Intro to Soils with Dr. Briggs, absolutely necessary, especially if you go into consulting. The fact that he takes you out in the field and will do soil sampling and characterization with you to help you understand that is crucial, absolutely crucial. Watershed ecology and management, principles of management as well, getting into any private or consulting, just to kind of understand how that all works. Meteorology was also very helpful, in environmental geology, because again, water isn't just water over the surface, it's also groundwater and hydrogeology, limnology, of course, and watershed hydrology. So I think many of those were required, but they were all very helpful in helping me understand how water works in the environment. In terms of courses I wish I could have taken, I would have absolutely died to take a course with Dr. Kimmerer. Her perspective on like the relationship between science and indigenous ecological knowledge is so beautiful and insightful, and I regret that I can only hear about it in her books. I would have absolutely loved a chance to learn from her and apply that knowledge and perspective in my career, even if it hadn't have been, directly related to watershed management or water quality. Just those perspectives and the way of seeing the world and the way of interacting with it, I think goes far beyond even a career, but like a lifestyle and the way that you should view the world and interact in it.
Yes, yeah. And her books are fantastic when you read them. And if you ever do them on an audiobook, she reads them. So that feeling that you get just is phenomenal. Just to hear her ideas on nature and science. So I agree.
Agreed.
We're going to go over to Billy next.
Yeah. When I saw this question, I was like, oh, what classes did I take? It feels like it's been so long. I think one of the classes that was really helpful for me, I think it was called Energy Markets and Policy. And at the time I was like, oh, this class I'm not interested in it. But it's really given me the basis for a lot of the work that I do now on demand response and time variable pricing programs, just understanding how utilities work across the country, how we kind of make sure we have enough energy to support our needs. I mentioned before, I had an applied statistics minor, and the classes that I took to fulfill that minor really helped me in my current position, because we do have some analysis work that just like having that basic understanding of statistical analysis has been really helpful for my job, helpful in my current degree program right now too. In terms of classes I wish I had taken, I feel like I took so many. I feel like I packed my schedule so often. I do wish I had had the opportunity to take some more technical courses on sustainable energy options. I don't think they were available at the time, but I've heard the SEM program had some restructuring. But just, knowing more about the technology we're trying to implement would have been something I would have loved to have the opportunity to do.
That's great. Yeah, I was gonna say, it didn't sound like you had a lot of room for electives in there with all of your minors and everything else going on. All right, Valerie, how about you?
Sure. So when I was at ESF, I really did think I was going to go more into the water side of things. So pretty much weirdly enough, the classes that have helped me the most are the ones that I was like, why am I here? Why am I in this class back in the day? Like, I would say for me, numerical computing methods and doing the Python coding. I didn't think that was going to have a big impact on my life, and I'm always in code now. Things like, engineering decision analysis, remote sensing is obviously huge in the world of drones. I'm talking about SNR and RSSI and signal strength, things like that I just did not think were going to be applicable are things that I'm using every day now. I did have one role where I was an EHS engineer, and so I did get a lot of use also from a lot of the engineering environmental courses that I took. So I would say almost everything that I took has kind of came back and helped me in life, believe it or not. And also including weird random electives that I took. I took meteorology, I took like art, which it's just a great thing to know how to look at things and draw them. I don't know. But I don't really know what else I would have taken. Maybe tried some other random electives, but I think I couldn't have gone back and probably done it too much better than I did. So I don't really have many regrets. I'm actually pretty happy with the courses that I picked.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So we're going to stay with you on this one since I made you go last on this one. What advice do you have for women entering into STEM fields? And is there something that you wish you would have known or somebody would have told you before you started? Oh, sorry, Valerie, you're on mute.
Sorry, my bad. So a lot of this kind of goes back to the conversation we had before and being a woman in STEM and just knowing your place. And I think a huge thing, especially in engineering, is overcoming imposter syndrome. I think a lot of women are treated differently in STEM because we don't grow up the same as men, like guys do. Like if you have a brother and your dad is saying who wants to work on the car, who wants to help hold the flashlight working under the car, he's going to pick your brother usually over you, right? So typically over the whole generation, girls grow up with less of a start when it comes to technical matters. And that's why I think people don't expect them to have the knowledge or this or that. So going into something really like super technical, like robotics, I had definitely some catching up to do. So in my spare time, I spent a lot of it just throwing myself into everything, building my own computers and doing all this crazy stuff that I never thought I could do, things I thought were out of reach. And the thing is, you can do it. You just have to take your time, break it into steps, and just do it. And anything you want to do, you can do it. And again, finding mentors and mentorships that can help you. If any of the things that we have said today resonates with you, I'm sure any of us would help answer any questions you might have. Add us on LinkedIn. But hopefully you can find something that you're passionate about and just stick with it and enjoy it.
Great. That's great advice. Thank you. All right, we're going to go over to Billy. Any advice that you have for our young women entering into STEM?
Yeah, I mean, my first piece of advice is don't be afraid to ask questions when you enter the field. Like, I know it can feel like you need to know everything. And when you first enter that room, you're not going to as much as you want to. There's going to be so much more to learn. So don't be afraid to ask questions and really make yourself heard in your position. The other thing would be to reach out to the networks that you have, and even like the networks you don't know that you have. I found out about my current position because someone who had graduated 4 or 5 years before me had posted on like the SEM LinkedIn group and was like, "Oh, Berkeley Lab's hiring. Reach out if you have any questions." So I reached out to this guy I'd never met before, got connected with him, and ended up getting this role. So just, reach out to people, reach out to alumni from ESF, professors. They can all help you, and really help you get established in your role. The other thing I'd say is like, don't be afraid to talk to your friends about how you're feeling in your roles. Like we've talked a bit about imposter syndrome, and I still have a lot of female friends from ESF, and it's something that comes up that we talk about and dealing with that in our positions and how it's been for us versus men that have graduated from the same programs for us. So like, make sure that you're taking care of yourself emotionally, because it can take a toll if you're not doing that.
Thank you. Great advice, especially about reaching out to alumni. We have a great alumni population, and I always encourage our students here, even as a freshman, come to our office. We can connect you with people that are in the field thinking that, maybe you want to go into that field, get some of the background and learn about it from somebody that's currently doing it, because I think that always helps. And sometimes that's where that mentorship starts as well. All right. Thank you, Billy. We're going to go over to Emily. So, Emily, any advice you can give?
Yeah. So graduating from ESF, I had a general idea of what I wanted to do, but it took a while for me to figure out what that was going to look like. Preceding graduation, you're probably going to bounce around to a few summer internships, jobs you might not necessarily like, but serve as a really good tool, like a way to learn more in your field. Because when I initially graduated, I had been working in the Peri Lab, rearing Hypena moth for as a biopatrol, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do after this? I was very geared up and ready to go into academia. Like, did I want to get a master's degree? Did I want to get a PhD? How do I actually feel about research? And I realized after spending, I think, 2 years in the Peri Lab doing my own research and helping out in the lab that I didn't want to be stuck in the lab. I wanted to be out in my community. And as you go through ESF, you will find things that you really like, and you'll find things that you don't like that you previously thought you'd enjoy. So yeah, you're always going to have a plan A through Z. Nothing is set in stone, and we all figure it out.
Yeah. And I think it's good to know that that's okay. If you change your mind halfway through and you follow a different path, that's okay. And where you start out might not be where you end up.
I was one of, I think, 4 ESF students my freshman year who started out as undeclared, which you can't really do at ESF. And I was between environmental biology and landscape architecture, so 2 very different majors. And I had some experience with Retree in Buffalo, so that's where I grew up, and I decided I'm going to go with environmental biology. And then after taking dendrology and entomology, I absolutely adored those courses. I changed my major to forest health because narrowing down your major, it's good to have a range of classes and expertise, but really narrowing my major down into strictly forestry and trees really helped me get a job out of college.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Okay, Allie, any advice that you have for our, soon-to-be graduates? We have a lot of ESF students on our stream tonight, so any advice that you could give them?
Yeah, so many good things have been said already. I'm so proud of all of us for all of our accomplishments. And in terms of like thinking of things that I don't know if we've we've said yet, or maybe we have, maybe I'm being redundant here, but learn to advocate for yourself, of course. You have to speak up for your achievements and ensure you're confident to negotiate your benefits, your salary, of course. You're the only one speaking up for you out there. Network with a purpose. Connections open doors to new opportunities, collaborations, insights. A lot of my jobs I got either through interning and networking when doing so, or from other people in my professional network, whether they were professionals already or colleagues. Embrace continuous learning. All STEM fields are continuously evolving. So staying curious and adaptable will keep you ahead, will, keep you sharp, especially in that fancy meeting room that you might find yourself in. Try all the things. I think Valerie and Emily touched on this a little bit, but you really don't know what you like to do until you do the things. So do all of the things, and all of those variable experiences will make you more unique and more well-rounded. When one of those little niche opportunities comes up, you'll go, oh, I have experience in this random thing. And you don't know when those things are going to happen or when something catches your eye. Be flexible. I changed my major as well. When I was a transfer student into ESF, I was in environmental studies, and I really appreciated the curriculum. I absolutely loved it, but I personally missed the math and science, so I switched majors. But I didn't regret any of that either, any of those courses I took then. And it's helped me in, the psychology and communication aspects of being a project manager now. So also just follow what speaks to you, and be okay with being flexible or changing your mind and realizing that you like one thing more than another. That's like how life goes, it goes that way with people. It goes that way with your career. And rely on your advisors and professors. They are your friends. I promise you that. They want the best for you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to bring you all back on now, just so everybody knows we're going to be coming all back on. We're going to open it up for questions. I have a lot of comments, but no questions so far. But I think one thing that I would like to mention to our students, or even people that are out there, is joining professional organizations. That's where you can do a lot of this networking. Even as a student, we have so many student chapters of professional organizations for them to get involved and to meet people that are in the field while they're a student, so that they can have that connection as well. So is there anything, anybody, I'm just going to open it up to you guys. Anything anybody else would like to say to just about women working in STEM, and kind of, I think one thing that you guys all talked about was being there to support each other. And I think that's very important, that that you have a community out there that is full of people that are doing this job every day, and they may be feeling exactly what you guys were feeling. So somebody to talk to and bounce information off of. So you guys are so good. Nobody's even asked questions. You guys just addressed everybody's questions. I do have something in a chat, so I want to make sure I'm getting to that. But my mouse does not want to work. Okay. So I'm going to just say thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. Your words were very inspiring to hear what all of you are doing out there. And it was great that you're all in such different fields. And you all seem to be really enjoying it and making your own path. So very good. Congratulations to all of you. And thank you for joining us tonight. Everybody else, thank you for joining us as well. And we will be doing these again soon. Oh, Valerie has something. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, Debbie.
No, that's great.
In the private chat, there's the thing that says this question came in on email.
Oh, okay. That's what I couldn't get my mouse to go over there. Okay. So I like this question. I'm going to read it verbatim. So it says, I am a relatively new grandma, and I am looking for suggestions of STEM activities that I can do with my granddaughters. They are ages 1 to 5, particularly to encourage their interest in the sciences, technology, mathematics, and engineering, preferring using household items or something that I can easily access online. So I don't know if you guys have any suggestions for that. But if you do, I mean, my thing is get them out in nature. Let them get themselves dirty and, go out and explore to see what they like. And then I know that there's a lot of different things online that you can just search for age-appropriate activities in the STEM field. So, but does anybody have any suggestions about anything in particular?
Something to use in the household. Dr. Don Leopold, he has a bunch of dendrology YouTube videos posted to the ESF YouTube. They're great. They are wonderful. And then after watching those, you could probably go out on a little tree walk and identify trees.
I like that. Yeah, check out the ESF YouTube channel because there's a number of professors that do some things on there.
What got me into science and STEM when I was really young, at 5 and less, was my mom would take me outside, and we would, go on vacations and even local ones and identify different seashells to kind of understand what their lives were like before they became a shell I picked up off the beach. And also to catch bugs. I really enjoyed that when I was little, catching butterflies, even if it was like a catch and release thing. And my dad would take me fishing and tell me about the fish and the local ecology. So I think what's really important for kids that age is to be able to see those things and hold those things in their hand and understand them. So that always helped me.
Dr. Fierke will love that you said that about bugs. So. Somebody wants to see Valerie's YouTube channel with the robotics.
God. Anyways, let me jump back very quick to the last question because I know that it's my mom who sent that question in. And I'm just going to say a little bit of something about this is growing up, my parents, we did the butterflies and the nets. I always loved those. We did the bug catching. Who didn't do that? We were also computer kids. We were online a lot, but I think that helped us, weirdly enough. When it comes to getting involved with STEM, I just think a big thing is to just not devalue it and make people think that they can't do it. I think people are naturally born very curious. We all, as young girls, wanted to get out there and explore and learn new things and build things. And actually, my mom did a great job raising me because as a kid, she's letting me walk around the Discovery store for hours, picking out things I didn't need, or like I asked for Christmas for build a brick house kit, not typical things a little girl might ask for, but she never said it was weird. She was just supportive. And so I think, for anyone who's listening in, the best thing is just to be supportive of interests. And, maybe a grandchild doesn't want to go in STEM, but they might find something else that's equally interesting to them as well. So I think just promoting women and these young girls from an early age and supporting anything that they want to do is just huge. Mm-hmm. And as far as my YouTube channel goes, it's called Val's Blueprint. I have no videos on it yet. It's in the young. It's still very young. I just started to do this and record videos just at home, so I'm pretty excited about it. But maybe I can get Debbie to share it when I have some more videos.
I can do that for you. We can do that. All right. And I think what everybody's kind of saying, just giving them the exposure to STEM and see if they like it. If they do, great, but if without being exposed to it, they're not going to know. So I think that's an important thing that we could do for our kids.
And to quickly address the second part of that question, for mentors and male allies, advice for those allies, I don't know if they mean advice to be a male ally or an advice to be a mentor or advice to find them. But advice for male allies, like just keep an eye out for us, if you would, keep a keen ear, listen, observe, educate yourselves on what we go through or what we could go through. I don't know if any of you have heard of the documentary Picture a Scientist. Mm-hmm. It came out like 4 years ago, maybe. It's a documentary about women mostly in biology and the things that they've experienced and learning how to make the field of STEM more equitable. And there's quite a few great examples in there of what it means to be a male ally or what it means to be a mentor. And then in terms of finding them, finding a mentor is, you probably already know them. I will say that much. Your advisors, your professors, I promise you it's not cringy to go to them and ask for advice or to go to them with your experiences. They are there for you. It could even be a boss or a close colleague. And then identifying male allies, you will know when they are around you. They support you in every regard. They speak up for you. They trust your recommendations. They make eye contact with you. And they build off of your ideas in a way that is productive and supportive.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. What was I going to say? Oh, the picture of scientist was our first women in STEM discussion too. We had sent out the link to everybody, and then we did a women in STEM discussion about it. Oh, somebody said KiwiCo is a company that you can order kid appropriate based on science and robotics. So there you go. Oh, I saw the cat there, Billy. And then how about AI for educational? Could you, somebody wants to share your opinion on using AI for education.
I don't know if you want me to take this one or not, but just a couple things. KiwiCo is a great company. There's also Crunch Labs. That's another one for educational science kits. They're all over online if you look for it, and you can find little things to build robotics as well. Regarding AI in educational sense, I think personally, I'm a big advocate for AI. I think it's a great tool. I think it also can be great for not just education, but just any little thing in your life. I'm using it daily just for, anything I want to navigate. You can ask it questions also as a tool in Women in STEM. If you feel like you need help navigating a situation and you don't know where to begin, I think you can ask ChatGPT or something in AI as well and just get another input. Of course, nothing beats real humans and real people, but sometimes if you're in a tight spot, it doesn't hurt to at least see what they're being offered. But it's just another huge resource that will become more commonplace as time goes on. And I think there's a place for it in every aspect of STEM.
Yeah, I think it's a tool. And I think that's what people have to realize. I think we've gotten to all the questions. So I'm going to say thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. Thank you to all of you online for joining us. This was a great talk, and I really appreciate all the information that you had to share. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you.